Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, Gavin.
And I, Justin.
And we are remote again. Sorry, people. Justin is about to embark on quite a road trip this coming week, and he's just getting some loose ends tied, and he needed kind of all the time he could get today to do that, so that's why we're doing this remote today. But we talk about a variety of things. I just actually got back from a trip myself from Sun Valley in Boise, Idaho. My girlfriend and I were trying to escape the heat and go up to Sun Valley where it's gorgeous and cooler than down here.
Yep, and then I just outlined some of the things. I'm renting a Tesla to go do this trip, so some of the ins and outs of that and some of the excitement. And I also found a really cool location that if you guys want a cool experience that's mostly automotive related here in Utah, you can go check out this foundation that I visited yesterday. But with that being said, let's just get right into it. It's been a hell of a week.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's been hot.
It's been hot. It's been a hot minute, but also we are recording this remotely at 10:09 a.m. on Sunday, July 23rd, and it is already 93 degrees.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What is this?
I don't know. We're turning into Phoenix or Vegas. I think we broke 3 records this week.
Oh my God.
Of like temperature highs. One of them we knocked out of the park by like 5 degrees. The other 2 were close. They were like within 1 or 2 degrees. So not like huge, but still broken.
I feel broken.
Yeah, and you've been living without AC.
I was going to say, I feel broken like my air conditioning. So I live in a condoized apartment building where we are all on the same system where the heat is turned on uniformly for the winter and the AC is turned on uniformly for the summer.
Yeah.
So with that, I have a unit that is in my bedroom and I have a unit that is in my living room. The unit in my bedroom works. It doesn't push as much cold air as it used to, or as much air period as it used to. And the unit in my living room straight up doesn't push any air out. So it's been hot as fuck, and my girlfriend and I have been sweating our asses off. Especially like in like the evening. Like even last night, I thought I was going to be smart and like open up the windows at 10 p.m. when it was dark and it should have been cooler out, because we've also been getting some breezes and let the apartment breathe a bit, and it was still like 87 degrees.
Yeah.
Like nothing was happening.
Yeah, we've been still staying pretty warm. What's funny is we actually did break a record low as well in a certain part of Salt Lake County. I think it was like the south end. It was really weird, but like they broke a record low of like 67 at the same time as breaking the record high the following day. So we had a swing. But
yeah, so climate change is totally not real though. Like we could establish that, right? Like climate change is fake. So. Yeah, okay, cool.
So, but like either way, we haven't been dropping for the most part below like high 70s, low 80s during the night. And so there's just no break. And so like that, like even this morning, that forced me. So since I'm going out of town this next week and I'm just trying to make sure that everything for business is caught up, like I had one job that was just outdoors pressure washing a concrete pad that I do every once in a while. And I was like, fuck this. I am waking up at 5. I am going to this place at 5 to not do this in the fucking heat. I am done. I do not want to be out in the heat another day. I have been in the sun in 100+ degrees every single day.
Well, and that was one of the not one of the reasons, but one of the benefits of my vacation I just came back from, going up to Sun Valley and Boise, except Boise is the same as here. It was still fucking hot, but yeah, Maddie and I went up to Sun Valley, which was gorgeous. It was lovely. We went at the right time because it was still a little bit cooler than here. I was actually hoping for even cooler. It got into like the low 90s. Mm-hmm. So like it's still a 15-degree drop from our crazy highs, which is kind of nice to think about. We were when I was planning the trip, and even like just before the trip, it was like looking like low 80s, which is unfortunate. I was hoping for that, but yeah, it was gorgeous up there, super green compared to here. The timing though was just perfect because I didn't want to go for tour de force.
Yeah.
I didn't like. I've been to the Ketchum area a couple of times. Both times were during the craziness of the whole Sun Valley Tour de Force event. Which, if you're listening to this and don't know what that is, the town of Ketchum and Sun Valley, they sanction an event and close down a section of road, temporarily, kind of sporadically throughout the day, so people can still drive through it, but like they'll let some traffic through and then close it down, run the event, open it back up, people can drive through, then they close it again.
Yeah.
The event, though, and I don't actually know what charity it's for, but basically it's for rich dudes to go do high speed blasts, basically to top out their vehicle down this long straightaway down this road. It's the Idaho, like the state road, like 75 is what the road is. They also call it Phantom Hill because there's like a hill there that's called Phantom Hill.
Yeah.
And so I've seen Chirons like break into like the 260s out there. The record for a while was Veyron with like 253, like the actual fucking top speed. And if you drive that road, you would be fucking flabbergasted at the condition of it and think, how in the goddamn fuck are these people going this fast on this shit of a road? It's not that smooth. Because like when you see like these big presenters, like, it's the people on Top Gear or something, and like they talk about the car that they're driving, most likely like a Veyron or like a Koenigsegg or something, and they talk about how the road has to be this smooth in order for it to, go this fast around this, this banked corner or something. And then you look at this road and you're like, how is that even possible?
Well, I mean, hell, when James back in Top Gear did his top speed run in the Veyron, it was on a prepped, beautiful test track.
Yeah.
Like, perfect conditions, if you could ever.
And it should be.
Yeah.
By the way, the event is for the Hunger Coalition.
Okay.
So what they do is, say you get, just for numbers' sake, you do 200 on the road, like during the event.
Yeah.
They actually write you like a legitimate traffic ticket for what a 200 mile an hour speeding ticket would be. And then that's the number that you pay and you donate to the Hunger Coalition.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a cool way to do it.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. That's super funny. I like that.
So, yeah. This year, and actually I'll just look this up on Facebook because that's kind of where they've been promoting things. I think someone right now, what I'm seeing is some person, Alexandra Hayner, they did 218.87 in a 720S Spider.
Wow.
So, there's 218, 217, 216. That was all by the Hayners. Wow, yeah, it's all McLarens. The person last year that did it, I thought that they did like 218 or 220 in like a modified 992 turbo.
I'm not really surprised that it's that many McLarens. They've become the de facto easy speed, not necessarily top speed, but easy speed.
I mean, that 4-liter, the 3.8 and the 4-liter V8s that they have in those are just dumb. They're ridiculous.
I think it's the combination of that and their practically miraculous suspension.
Yeah, for the condition of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think those two things in the chassis, that just the combination of those elements make it just such an easy car to seemingly do, frankly, stupid things.
Yeah.
And so that's not surprising. 911 is not surprising that joined the list either. Another car that's, frankly, usually pretty good at being pretty easy.
Well, I mean, if you look at like the Car Wow drag races, because that's just what they've... It's funny how a channel that is supposed to be about like car shopping and helping people buy cars turned into just like the de facto drag race channel.
Yeah.
They've drag raced so many like ridiculous comparisons, and also like reasonable comparisons about like, oh yeah, of course you'd put like a 765 LT against a 992 Turbo S.
Yeah.
But like, or like an SF90 or something. But like the 992 Turbo S, like that was always like crushing everybody, like by some miracle as well. It's part of that is from their trick all-wheel drive and their dual clutch with the launch control, just getting out of the hole really well, and just like constant crazy power. You know, those flat sixes rev really high, and so like gearing is longer because of that. And with how fast the dual clutch is, it just makes sense where that's having just a constant power shove throughout the whole race. So, anyways, yeah, that was that. So that's the thing. Sun Valley Tour de Force. It's a fun thing to go see, and especially if you like know what to do when you're there, because like they have, I think they call it Test and Tune, but like it's basically a Cars and Coffee where they wash all the cars and you get to see everything like before like the big event, and it's cool because that's the only place where you really get to see every car like really in the same place.
Yeah,
and so that's at the Sun Valley Auto Club, which is at the airport, closer to Haley. And, yeah, that's also where the Singer Graveyard is. So where Porsche collects, or Singer collects all the Porsches.
No, I knew that the Singer Graveyard was up there somewhere. I just didn't know where.
Yeah, that's at the Sun Valley Auto Club, where they have like the quote unquote Test and Tune. And it is really cool because there is kind of a Singer presence in Ketchum, because of like where the graveyard is, and there is a Sun Valley Commission, like some dude that lives up there like got one, and there's a whole like debut, like a whole release of it, and like they made T-shirts and stuff, and I actually bought one.
Yeah.
So it is a really cool thing to see, especially like, you know, it's a cool thing if you're a car person to check off your list of like, you know, just events to do. And it's also in a super, you know, beautiful, picturesque environment where you can also do other stuff. You can go drive up into the Sawtooths, and there's like a really great driving road up there. Super fucking pretty up in the Sawtooths, which is part of the reason also why I wanted to do this trip, because last time when I was in that area, I actually did it the other way, and I drove up to Boise and picked up my friend Andrew. Not Andrew, who's been on the show, but he's a good friend of mine. He actually, funny enough, runs the marketing for Overland Expo.
Yeah.
And, picked him up in Boise, and then we drove through the Sawtooths because it's 190 miles of just like super scenic and like squiggly roads.
I know. Who wouldn't love that?
I know. And I got that idea from watching Gears and Gasoline, actually. I was wait, where is this? Because they did that, the 48 states in their RX-7s.
Mm-hmm.
And they drove through that. I was like, I need to find where that is.
Yeah, so. I actually remember specifically, I think we watched a portion of it together, and you saw that, and you're like, I know it's in Idaho, but like, where? That looks beautiful.
It's amazing. It really is. And like the beauty just kind of keeps going and going and going and going and going. So, it's a great drive. I recommend it to everybody. There are some sections that are even, entertaining at 50 miles an hour. And like the speed limits aren't super low, really. Because like there are places here in Utah where it's like, oh, I can easily double the speed limit in my car. I'm not like I'm pushing it. I'm asking for it a little bit, but it's not like super sketchy or dangerous. So.
Yeah, it's not as risky as that phrase would initially make you think.
Yeah. So yeah, I recommend it. You would love it if you took a trip. Actually, if you didn't end up doing like your crazy like northern trip up to it's in Alaska, isn't it?
Yeah, going all the way up to the top of the Alaska Peninsula.
Yeah. If you didn't end up doing that and just did a bunch of other road trips, that are in like either the Intermountain West or the Pacific Northwest, and you just want to rack up miles that way, like this is one you would have to do.
It's definitely on the list. Funny thing you mentioned that. So I've put almost 1,000 miles on the Audi in the past week and a half since I got or roughly month since I got my temp. And so
nice.
It's been doing well, although I know that there are other issues that have just become more apparent, which is rear shocks. It's just always a stupid listicle of more things that need to be done, which is ever expanding. However,
sure,
it hasn't failed to run, which is great. Number one, this is probably the first time I've been able to put a 4-digit number of miles on without having troubles.
Hey, look at that.
Number two, it actually got about 21 miles a gallon on my trip to and from Bear Lake, which is, I think, a record for it. Normally, it's averaged around 19 highway. So
sure.
It did good.
That means it's running well.
we'll just have to see if it passes emissions. I am going to be doing that tomorrow. God knows. We'll see. If the cats are still as fucked as I think they are, it probably won't, but at least this might... It was so close to passing, this might have helped burn some of the crap out of the engine to where hopefully it will. And
probably. And like it's running leaner if it's, using less gas.
So we'll see what happens with that. I'm like really hoping so, because it's just been performing so well that I would love to do more things like that. It actually passed 170,000 miles on the way back from Bear Lake.
Nice.
So it's getting up there, and I would love to have that be, the car for trips like that. Is it a dynamic car? Hell no. But it is fun enough, especially with the setup I have, where like I have added 50 mil of tire width over the original tire size. Like it's pretty...
Wow.
Planted compared to what it was when stock.
Sure.
Just with the extra tire width and with the lowering that I have on it, because originally it was really soft, pillowy suspension.
Yeah, you just have more, literally more mechanical grip.
Yeah, in both ways, from both the suspension and the tires. It's just a shit ton more than it was. And it's still comfortable, shockingly, with how, being that it's 2 inches lower than it was when it was new. Mm-hmm. It's not uncomfortable, and even the interior, the AC, all that shit is working great. All the comfort features are working fantastic. So getting to take that, regardless of the Alaska trip, but even just to like up here in Idaho, would be great. And I also have we'll call it the Audi peace of mind that in the event that it was bad weather, I wouldn't have to worry.
True.
For the most part, it would be pretty much like, yeah, I'm good. I should be able to get through roughly anything that could be thrown at me. So anyways, cross your fingers that continues and that I'm able to pass emissions, because then I could go do more stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Get out there.
I am going to be getting out of there this week, because we're doing this podcast 3 days before I head to Canada. And yes, I did just say Canada. It's a joke. It's Canada. I know.
Canada.
I just like saying Canada. I think it's funny.
I do too.
It's a funny little thing. So that has a couple interesting things I'd like to get into, though. So I think we've mentioned before, Bryce and I are renting a Tesla to do this as part of like a fun experiment, because neither of us has had too much time in electric cars. I've driven them, but not like consistent enough to have to like recharge them.
Well, yeah, between the two of us, like you've had little experiences with like Fiat 500e and Nissan Leaf, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I shot a video, but like it for a variety of reasons it didn't release. A Model 3 when the Model 3s were still pretty hot, because I think it was orders opened up in 2016 and they didn't come out. Really, I didn't see any until 2018, and that's when I did my review. Is like June of 2018.
Yeah.
And so like I drove it up in East Canyon. I actually did a little bit of quote unquote autopilot in the squiggles, and it actually worked, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, like the owner like debriefed me on a bunch of stuff, but like it kind of went in one ear and out the other, and that was 5 years ago. So this is you. After this experience, you will now be the EV aficionado of the two of us.
Yeah, because we will, by my calculations, end up putting somewhere in the realm of 3,500 miles on it in 10 days. Most of that's commuting there and back, but we'll get a very broad mix of use out of it, because we'll get
for sure.
Obviously, the huge amount of freeways, supercharging. We're going to be going on 4 different ferries at various points.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're entering the country, is going on a ferry from the tip of Washington onto Vancouver Island. And then we're going to have a bunch of city in Vancouver itself. Mm-hmm. So, like, we'll get an actual really broad spectrum of how it all works. And there's some funny little things we found out. So, Hertz... I found some articles back in 21, put in this massive order to buy a shit ton of Teslas to start renting them. And the funny thing is, Teslas work similar to how Apple works, where you have a Tesla account that's on your phone and the car syncs to your account, kind of like how an Apple device syncs to your Apple account. And this kind of happens with various brands, to where, especially with the Model 3, there's no key fob anymore. It has the little credit card thing, or you use your phone. So there's apparently, I couldn't find any information about this, but basically the weird thing is, when you're renting one, you don't get use of the Tesla app at all.
Yeah.
They didn't, for whatever reason, find a software way around the fact that since Hertz owns the cars, they're the ones that would be tied to the Tesla app. So you don't get some of the fine comfort features of like being able to pre-start the car or unlock it with your phone or things like that. You just have the credit card. Kind of a bummer, but kind of understandable at the same time. If you're renting any other car, you're still going to get that same exact experience, so it's no different. But it does take away a little bit of the bummer because the Tesla app is kind of what makes Teslas more rich than they actually are as far as features are concerned. Mm-hmm. Other than that, there's kind of a slightly more fancy EV. When I mean fancy, I mean more like it has more features, not that it's nice.
Right. And you and I have talked before about how, Tesla is, the main purveyor of like just, adding screens to shit. Or like, screens equals better.
Yes.
Or screens equal luxury, which is actually not true.
Exactly.
They're actually, cheaper to make in the long run, and especially with, OTA, over the air updates. It's not actually, a fancier thing. And you're gonna have to tell me about the build quality too, about the specific car that you have, and how the NVH is, and if there's any like panel gaps or like how like windy like the car is gonna sound on the highway and stuff.
Well, and the weird thing is we're supposed to get a Model 3 long range. However, they did inform us that in the event they can't source a Model 3 long range, they will give us a Model Y, because a standard Model Y has about the same range as a long range 3.
Okay.
So we'll see what we get. It's probably an 80% chance we'll get a 3, but honestly, if we get a Y, I'll be interested because I've seen less of them, and they're
we're gonna have more space for stuff for sure.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be less stressful.
Yeah, so we'll see which one we end up getting. The second thing is I do know they come with autopilot. Because they have like 3 levels to autopilot at this point. It's kind of stupid. They come with the level 2 autopilot, so it's the mostly self-driving.
Well, level 2. Well, it's not Tesla calling it level 2. It's the industry standard of autonomy.
Yeah.
So level 3 is when accountability could be taken out of the driver, and the manufacturer can start taking accountability if something were to go wrong. Yeah.
So it does come with full-on autopilot, so that's good. So we will actually get to test that, which I think is most of them nowadays. I think at this point that's trickled down to most of the Teslas, except for the super, super base model ones. Mm-hmm. But the third thing that was kind of weird as well is also tied into the first problem, which is the app, which is supercharging. So how Tesla supercharging works is there's no credit card readers or anything. You plug it into the car, it registers with the car, and then it just charges you based off the card on file on the app. Well, again, if you're renting it and you don't have access to the app, that doesn't really work. So we found out we won't know how much we'll pay in supercharging until we get back and we get a bill. I mean, I've calculated it. It should be somewhere between $200 and $250 total.
That's probably half of what it would be for gas, though.
Probably even less than that. Depending on, obviously, the efficiency of whatever rental car we were able to get.
Sure.
Gas would be somewhere between $400 to $600.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty good. I'm really curious to see how that goes. They did confirm that they just forward on the bill. There's no extra charge, so that's good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. And I am going to attempt to do a video on this. I don't know if it'll work out. Like, I really say attempt in major quotations, because this will be a very different type of thing. If I do a video, it'll be pretty short, mainly just highlighting like, okay, this is my first experience doing any noteworthy driving in an electric car, let alone crossing country borders and all this shit too.
Yeah, and I can also see you doing kind of like an Anthony Bourdain type of approach of like making it less about the car, you know, in the review, and making it more about like the adventure and like the trip that you're on, the places that you go, how's the food, lodging, etc.
More about the experience.
Right.
Did my end question or thesis about this is, did the electric car hinder or help the experience? Because I've done thousands upon thousands of miles of road trips in an internal combustion car. So was this better or worse in the end? It will take more time, because charging takes more time than putting a pump into a gas tank. It's just a
Yep.
fact. However, did I feel like that time was a burden is the main question. That combined with all the other benefits and downfalls of EVs, whatever the outcome is, hopefully it's good. It looks like it should be, especially just because there's so many superchargers everywhere. The likelihood of being caught with your pants down and no electricity is honestly pretty stupid at this point.
Well, yeah, and that's also the thing about I don't know enough about EVs to know if Tesla is the only one that does this. I'm sure they're not. But you have predetermined, pre-planned destinations with charging stations, in your navigation through the car. So you should be able just to, leapfrog your way through charging stations all the way to where you need to go.
So from my experience with driving i3s as well, it seems like they are not the only one that has the ability to like daisy chain those together. However, they are by far the best and most integrated, and that's mostly because they own all their own superchargers. So they're very easily able to just plot all that in, whereas a lot of other charging stations aren't necessarily a destination. They're just like a couple things set up in a parking lot.
Right.
So it's a lot more difficult with some more normal electric car that's not a Tesla to do that. And so all I did was I went and used Tesla's online thing to just create its route for me. And then I just took those points that it gave me for supercharging and just put them into a Google Maps link so I could also link in all the other stops we had just to quickly kind of combine the best of both worlds. So I can just run my phone with Google Maps. I don't need to put things into the Tesla navigation. And I just used it to create my own safe route.
Yeah.
Which is a great feature. Like I wish there was less things I disliked about Tesla, the company, and the cars, because there's certain things like that are a super great convenience feature to the owners.
Sure.
I just wish there was more to not hate on.
They're just a scummy company.
A scummy company with some questionable quality. Like, it's funny that people say, yeah, well, the car is just running. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking electric car. There's so little mechanically to go wrong. There's not that much to go wrong. It's like, but like
the only things that can go wrong are the things that actually generally do go wrong, like, paint and body work and weird electrical gremlins and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I've actually had like personal problems with Tesla paint because with some of the dealerships I've worked with, when they'll get a Tesla in, California and several other states have the EV specific stickers for the I get to go in the carpool lane for free pass type stuff.
Right.
And those stickers are made to not come off. And more than once, while carefully removing the sticker in the same manner that I do with every other car, the paint just peels with it. On Teslas. It is beyond absurd and stupid. So I don't know. I am intrigued. Is basically kind of the end of it. I think it will be funny to just see how it all goes, and I'm also happy that some of the chargers are slightly off the beaten path, so it'll take some slightly different routes than what you would normally expect.
For sure.
And so that should be cool. And hopefully, oh my God, I'm laughing at the irony of a question you mentioned earlier, which is that hopefully there's no wind noise, because the problem with an electric car is if there is any noise whatsoever, you will hear it.
Well,
constantly.
yeah, because I mean, it's not just a Tesla thing. It's, when you remove the internal combustion engine that's in front of you, making all those pulsations and vibrations and noises, when you eliminate that, everything else turns up, like tire noise, wind noise, just any kind of like NVH that's inside the cabin, like loose change or whatever. Like everything else is amplified. It's like losing, one of your five senses. When you lose one, everything else is heightened.
Yep.
And so I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on when we come back after this. Well, what you have to say.
Yeah, and that'll be, just so you're aware, listeners, that'll be a couple weeks from now, because next week I'll be in Canada. So you'll actually hear another podcast, but you won't hear updates on this for 2 weeks, just so you're aware.
Right. And also, we are recording this on Sunday the 23rd. Tomorrow is Pioneer Day or Pioneer Day.
I haven't heard somebody say that in a while.
Pioneer Day?
Pioneer Day, yep.
Yeah. I drank all my beer last night, so I'm covered.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Funny story. I didn't know that Pioneer Day was a Utah-only holiday until I was like 16, because I grew up LDS, and so and I grew up in Utah, so
that's part of the thing about growing up LDS. You don't know otherwise.
Well, yeah, and it was right around that time that I started to just branch out and go places and do other things. And so I can't remember what it was. It was when I had gone. Actually, it was I realized it at 16, but then I experienced it at 18, I think, when I went back east. Actually, it was when I went to pick up my Audi 200 from Missouri, and I happened to be over the 24th. I was like, oh, there's nothing going on here. Oh, yeah. It's a Utah thing.
Why aren't they celebrating? That's funny.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. But no, I do have a bit of that pre-trip buzz, though. I think there's just so much going on. Even today, we're kind of doing this and doing next week's podcast real quick, just since I'll be gone. But even today, in order to fit everything in combination with the weather that we mentioned earlier, I went out and did a job at 5 a.m. because I was fuck the heat, and I need to create more time. And that's how I create more time.
Just get up earlier.
Get up earlier, go get something done. And then we got packing. It's I got what you normally go through to leave on a trip, which is normally make sure all the paperwork's in order. We're leaving the country. Make sure passports are good, which fortunately they are. Get everything in the same place. Start packing. Right. Then they got make sure the house isn't going to burn down. All the normal shit. And then I have to also make sure that work is going to stay going for the first time because since I now
because you have Carson.
Yeah, he's going to be on his own for the first time, but since he mainly manages our big account, he doesn't have too much extra time. He's pretty limited on his extra time to do other jobs. So no matter what, we're going to be half staffed, but it's going to be the first time that I'm gone for any noteworthy amount of time that work will continue, which is exciting and terrifying at the same time. And that's no offense to Carson. He's fantastic, but it's like I'm leaving my baby on its own for the first time.
You're like a parent that, you have your first time with the babysitter and you're going for a vacation.
Yeah, and I would say this is more the equivalent of, I'm able to normally I would almost put the baby to sleep and it would sleep the entire time till I got back because there's nobody to do the work. This time, the baby is fully conscious and it's going to stay awake the entire time.
Yep.
So I'm honestly not that worried about that, but it is a big step and it's exciting. But it's just one more thing to add to the ship pile to get ready, to make sure that that's all just going to flow and go. And yeah, I don't know. It will be fun. And I think,
as it should be.
Yeah. And it's a nice feeling to be at the point I'm at now where that's no longer a fear. Because even last year when things were doing much better than they were the previous 2 years, it was still if we go do, for instance, the NSX shoot, I'm just shitting money that entire time because there is...
Or the Audis.
Or the Audis or anything. There's no PTO. I don't have any way to make sure income keeps coming in if I am not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always been... a fear might be stretching it a little bit, but a concern because anytime I take away from work... or up until now took away from work up until recently, it would be a drain on my account. It's bipolar. It's either I'm making money or I am shitting whatever money
actively losing money. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the part that's honestly exciting the most. Despite the worry of making sure everything goes good, the fact that I can leave as a business owner for the first time and not have things just, sit in pause the entire time.
Congrats, dude. Seriously.
Is great. Thank you. And it's, also fun because we're growing fast enough that we're also going to bring on another part-timer to help out at our big account and super cool things are going on there. So it's onward and upward. It's just,
yeah, man.
It's exciting to be at that point where I'm finally starting to see that because for the first couple of years, it was I know if I just keep going, it'll get there. But goddamn, I got to just keep going. It's just pedal to the metal. Anyways, but no, I'm super excited and just super intrigued to do something completely different because every other road trip, even if I'm going to a different destination, has been the same. And the fact that this is going to be a completely different experience is quite tantalizing.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, there is one more thing I can actually talk about, which is something I did yesterday, which was really interesting. Do you know where Walsburg is?
I know Walsburg and Wellsburg.
So Walsburg is about 20 minutes south of Heber. So you do the turnoff next to Deer Creek on.
I've delivered flowers up through there once. Actually, it's pretty.
So there's a place out there called the R.W. Erickson Foundation, and my mom found this, and she gave this as kind of a combination birthday present and Father's Day gift to my grandpa for all of us to go visit this place. And what this place is it's primarily car related, but it's a gigantic hoard almost. I joked with like the lady there. It's like kind of organized hoarding, but basically, Mr. Erickson just had a massive collection of almost anything you can think of, from housewares to cars to even buildings. He's got buildings there that were originally on like North Temple that they transplanted, that he bought the actual building and moved there.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so he was a large developer. He's actually one of the ones that paved most of the canyon roads originally back in like the 40s and 50s.
Oh, wow.
So that's where he made his money, but he just basically reinvested that and just buying a ton of, it's not shit, but like historical things. And then he passed away about 7 years ago, so his family kind of curated this and made more or less a indoor-outdoor museum of his entire collection. So it's a pretty crazy, varied type of collection. So for cars, for instance, there was everything from like an original 60s era Lotus 7.
Whoa.
To a bunch of like extremely high-end V8 powered like grown-up soapbox racer type of things for like circle track racing.
Oh, interesting.
The SEMA prototype of the Ford Explorer that became the Ford Explorer Sport Track.
Whoa.
So it is the one that was at SEMA that was the prototype that became the pickup truck Explorer.
Interesting.
So he's got those. He's got like 50s fire trucks. He's got over 200 different tractors. He's got 6 working steam tractors from like the early 1900s.
Wow.
He's got 2 buildings dedicated to motorcycles, the largest collection of Harley Davidsons in the West besides California. Like wild shit. And we got to spend 3 hours there going through all this and looking at what all they've done, because it's about 75% of the cars and automotive stuff is restored or like functional and in buildings and whatnot. The other 25% is like a combination patina and boneyard type of status. Mm-hmm. Then he's got all the tractors, and he's got like even some crazy, he's got some military vehicles with like some World War II era Harleys, and this, I don't know how the fuck he got this. It's a 2007 military prototype that was a diesel electric, bulletproof, bomb-proof vehicle that can do like 80 miles an hour on most any surface. And so it's
it's like a military vehicle though, so like it's armored as fuck, and like it doesn't look like a road car at all.
Not at all. Not even in the slightest. It looks like a Batmobile.
But
wow. Somehow he has the only one. I don't know how. But like,
I wonder if there was something like he had like government contracts or something.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. But the whole thing is just so eclectic, and there's so much different stuff in there. Like, it is primarily American focused, yes, but like it's not stereotypical. It's not like you walk in there and it's like, oh, yay, another Mustang or
57 Bel Air.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even in the motorcycle garage, although, yes, I did just mention he has like the largest collection of Harleys in the West besides like California collections. At the same time, he had 60 Triumphs. And
cool.
He had, or not Triumphs, sorry, 60 Vincents. That's what I meant, not Triumphs.
Were Vincents British?
Yes.
Okay.
So he had like 60 Vincents. He had like 40 Indians too, and they actually had one of their Indians was Steve McQueen's personal Indian, which is kind of cool.
Wow,
it has like 20,000 miles on it, so he actually rode it a shit ton.
Yeah.
And then he's got several other cars that were actually like quote unquote production cars, but one of a kind type of 1928 limousines that are like the only one in existence. So it's just we got to go tour around, and it's his daughter that gives the tours and still lives on the property and curates everything. And it's just wild. I kind of admire the fact that he has this really large, crazy collection that he amassed over 70 years of his life that wasn't just shit. Because so often you see, whether with cars or other types of collecting, that you'll have individuals that will collect a lot of stuff, and about half of it is just shit that maybe if it wasn't quite as old and destroyed and left out, maybe would have been okay, but even then wasn't that interesting. Pretty much everything here was interesting, including like the barn they had with just like household items, like a 1940s era washer dryer that's fully functional, like weird shit like that is mainly interesting because of the fact it even still exists and functions.
Yeah, I mean, there was a shoot that I had, it was a little over 5 years ago, and I can't remember even who my client was for this, and like the dude who like owned the place, like it was located kind of in the area, like up an alleyway, like where Simple Performance in Salt Lake is, like in a real shit part of downtown.
Yeah.
And like he even asked me like, hey, like when you take pictures, like, you know, I have to make sure to like remove all like location data like from the photos. Like he was like that kind of weird about it. And it was this warehouse that like the car. So I was shooting like 5 or 7 different cars. They were all pre-war, like Rolls Royces. And like there was also a pre-war Mercedes in there. And like that was like kind of interesting. And like the way I had to do this shoot was also fucking weird because I had to rent like C-stands and like hang like white backdrop paper and like try to get a wide angle lens, like without moving anything. Like we were all like navigating our way around these cars, which was like, I don't know. It was a real pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
But this is also what happens when a millionaire becomes a legitimate hoarder of like, so you have those cars and like there were like a couple motorcycles in there and like weird like paintings and like chinaware and silverware and furniture. It was very strange, super fucking dusty. It was like literally everything was collecting like mad amounts of dust. And I had to take interior and exterior photos of all of these cars. And like that's my only like real experience with anything like kind of like that. The thing that you went and did was much nicer, much more civilized and more of an experience. This was just like, what the fuck am I in? This is like insane.
And I've been in those. I've been in some of those like warehouses or that aren't necessarily tours, but like I got access to for various reasons being able to see these places. And like it's a pretty good chance that 80% of the time it is like what you experienced, where it's just they're covered in dust. They're not working. Like there's shit everywhere. There's stuff piled on the cars. Like, you know, it's just not a good situation for anybody or anything.
Right.
And to be clear, it's not necessarily sometimes that the owners don't care. It's quite often that they just have too many other things going on and they bit off too much more than they can chew, or they're old and they can't physically take care of them.
Yeah, and this guy, it's funny. This guy was he was definitely older. I'm trying to remember. He bought like he had some pretty iconic cars before they were like actually like, you know, before they really blew up in value. Like he had like a 250 GTO.
Oh yeah,
and like you know, a Mercedes Gullwing that he bought them for like $75,000 or something, which is like, oh my god, why would you sell that? But he was like in his early 70s, I think. Like he was older, but he wasn't like decrepit.
Yeah.
Also, like a couple of like screws loose. Both he and his wife, they were interesting people.
Yeah, and like I wasn't able to meet this guy, but his daughter was fantastic. And like this tour is weird because you have to book it quite a ways in advance, but the tour's not expensive. It's $15, and
oh wow,
it lasts for 3-4 hours, and you're kind of allowed what I enjoyed. So the guide was always there, which again was his daughter. However, she just opens up the buildings, and you're free to go look through, walk through anything, walk through all the pasture with the boneyard. Like you're free to just. Yeah, exactly. And here, we'll kind of use this to kind of finish out this episode, but I just sent you a selection of the pictures that I took because I want some of your reactions on some of them because it's kind of interesting. One of them was he had a DKW Auto Union Jeep type truck, which is, for those that don't know, that's what Audi was prior to Volkswagen buying it, was the DKW Auto Union. It's where the 4 rings came from, was 4 different companies. And apparently my internet is being slow.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Oh, there
we go.
So if we just start at the first one, that's that little Jeep.
It looks like a Volkswagen thing, kind of.
It kind of is similar. So it's got the 4 rings on the front. The next picture is the original North Temple shoe shop. That's one of the ones where he actually transplanted that building from North Temple as it was to that location. Next one's that Lotus 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like, super cool. Next one after that is one of those crazy dirt track racers, like, built to the nines. Super cool.
How big are your balls in order to, like, drive that, like, on the limit?
And I didn't send this as one of the pictures, but almost all of these, and he has a collection of probably 30 of these. Almost all of them are the type where the drive shaft is right under your ass. Like, if it were to just go, you're going with it.
Oh, for sure.
The next picture I thought was hilarious because of the previous Grand Tour episode.
Crosley.
One of them was Crosley powered.
Like, the record player company.
Oh, man. Then after that's that Explorer Sport Track prototype.
Wild.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that's a SEMA build with the wheels and tire setup. How thin are those? Those are like 35 profile tires, probably.
Stupid skinny, and it has shaved door handles and other stuff because, it was a SEMA build, but kind of interesting. After that's that military vehicle.
Yeah, it looks like a Humvee meets LM002 kind of thing.
It's a wild thing, and it has 2 seats, one in front of the other, and the turret was remote controlled. So basically, the driver and passenger are completely enclosed. Don't ever get out for anything.
Did she operate it? Like, did she move it around?
No, she said it does function though. They also had a functioning 1990s era military. What's it called? Like flight training computer, so an actual like flight sim.
Yeah.
Anyways,
cool.
If we go to the next picture, the bead locks on that thing.
Oh yeah, those are probably like 17 mil?
Like 17 mil, and there's like 45 bolts going around the entire outside. So your bead locks on your Raptor ain't got nothing on this thing.
Oh yeah, nothing. That's great.
Next one's one of the World War II Harleys with a sidecar. Super cool to see. And then they had
a judge.
They had a judge. They had a Super Bee. They had like all the stereotypical muscle cars you can think of.
Sure.
All there, Boss 302. And then we get to this last one, which is, and this is what I was going to kind of end this with. So this, which is called the City of Salt Lake, was a high-speed Bonneville car with a Rolls-Royce Merlin V12 from a P-51 Mustang World War II bomber, or World War II fighter plane.
Yeah.
So it was built by the dude. The crazy thing is, this car had a massive wreck on Bonneville, and this dude was the first person to die on a Bonneville speed run.
Oh, wow.
So this car, he lost control at, I think it said 290, and he went airborne for approximately a quarter mile and then rolled for a mile.
Wow. Yeah, you're not coming back from that.
He did survive, but he died 4 hours later in hospital.
Wow.
Shocking that he even survived at all.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but the wreckage was put in basically a garage for 50 years. And then back in the 90s, this dude, R.W. Erickson, bought the wreckage and fully restored it.
That's wild. That's nuts.
Yeah, similar to the Enzo story when that happened, where I think it's amazing that they actually took what was just a hunk of metal at that point and actually rebuilt the entire car. I love it when people do these things because they're purely passion. They're a complete waste of money. They're a waste of time. The things are destroyed beyond anybody's normal amount of repair. However, it's a piece of history now.
Sure.
So it is all a lose-lose situation from like a value and time standpoint. But
for sure. Yeah, there's no ROI there. No,
the love and care put into it, though, is astonishing. And I have to just admire that amount of dedication to especially with this, given that this wasn't a production car made by a company. This was a one-off. This was entirely handmade.
Right.
So there wasn't blueprints. They had to just remake the entire body.
English wheel that shit.
English wheel that shit. And fun fact, which I'm sure obviously since the car was destroyed, this isn't the original, but the original cockpit, like the canopy on that car that's on the front where the driver sits, was actually the P-51 Mustang cockpit. He bought a plane for $250, stole the engine and the cockpit and chunked the rest.
God. Wait, Ericsson did or the original builder?
Sorry, the original builder. So
okay.
The original builder was an airplane mechanic, and that's where he knew about these engines. And so he just bought an ex-military plane in 1947, stole the canopy and some basic parts and the engine off of it, and then chunked the rest. He paid $250 for it.
Wow.
Which even inflation adjusted is still only like $5,000 or something like that. Like, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah, that's great.
So... anyways, but I would highly recommend that place. They're entirely a nonprofit. They run on donations and on stuff like that. Like, if you want to see a really cool, unique thing in Utah that I didn't know existed until my mom found it, highly recommend it. So,
hell yeah.
But I think that's about it for this episode.
Cool. Well, because we're doing back-to-backs, because you'll be out of town next week, we're doing just a couple of shorter episodes. We're not going to do the full hour 15 plus whatever episodes that we've done before. So a little bit of a shorter one this week, but we will see you next week when we are talking about something else entirely. So until next time, I've been Gavin.
And I've been Justin.
And this has been the Exhibition of Speed podcast.